This is a story about two people who were never meant to cross paths, yet fate pushed them together in the most impossible way. It begins with a woman named Annie, whose life had always been carefully arranged, planned, and shaped by expectations, not her own, but the ones people placed upon her. She had grown up believing love should be perfect, predictable, and polished. She thought she already had that kind of life waiting for her, a wealthy fiancé, a grand estate, a future painted in gold. She believed the world had finally aligned for her, and that her dreams were ready to unfold exactly as she imagined. But life does not follow the maps we draw. It tears them apart, and forces us onto roads we didn't know existed. Everything changed on the day Annie discovered her fiancé in a moment that shattered the certainty she had clung to. What she saw broke something inside her, a trust she thought was unshakable. She felt grief, betrayal, and a disappointment so deep it stole her breath. In that instant, the life she had built in her mind collapsed, leaving her standing in the ruins of her own expectations. Yet even that heartbreak wasn't the end. Something stranger, something almost unbelievable, was waiting for her just beyond that moment. A storm struck during their final attempt to talk, sweeping Annie and another man, a stranger, onto a remote, deserted island. She barely knew him, and she certainly hadn't chosen him, but fate is rarely polite enough to ask what we want. When Annie opened her eyes on that lonely shore, she found herself surrounded by nothing but sand, sea, and silence. She felt fear settle into her chest like a stone. It was the kind of place where hope felt small, where the world seemed far too big for two lost souls. The stranger beside her introduced himself only as Cruiser. He did not offer his past, nor did he ask about hers. What mattered was surviving, and he took it upon himself to ensure they both did. Even from their first day together, Annie could see something in him, strength mixed with gentleness, confidence balanced with calm. He was a man who looked danger in the eyes and refused to bow. While she trembled at the thought of being stranded, he stood tall and declared silently that he would not let her die. And somehow, she believed him. Cruiser began shaping their survival with bare hands and unwavering resolve. He gathered wood, built shelter, and found fresh water. He fought against exhaustion, heat, and hunger. Every movement of his body carried determination, as if saving her had become his greatest mission. Annie watched in quiet awe as he transformed their desolate surroundings into something resembling a home. The island, which once felt like a prison, began to soften under his touch. A small fire soon flickered between them at night, painting glowing lines across their faces. Annie often wondered how he managed such miracles, but Cruiser always smiled as if everything he did was simply what had to be done. Slowly, her fear melted away. Days turned into weeks. Each sunrise wrapped the island in warm gold, and each sunset washed it in a soft, dreamy glow. Annie and Cruiser fell into a silent rhythm, working side by side, sharing unspoken thoughts, and discovering that companionship can grow even in the harshest places. Annie found herself drawn to the way he moved, the way he spoke sparingly but meaningfully, the way his presence steadied her heart. One afternoon, as the waves kissed the shore with gentle whispers, she watched him teach her how to fish. She struggled at first, frustrated and tired, but his patient guidance turned her clumsiness into confidence. His voice carried calm assurance, and she felt herself leaning into that warmth without even realizing it. Something inside her began to change. The island, once a nightmare, started to feel strangely magical. Palm leaves rustled like music, the sea shimmered like glass, and every moment with Cruiser felt like a small, unexpected miracle. She began seeing beauty she had never noticed in her old life, a beauty in simplicity, in effort, in survival, in connection, and most of all, in him. Cruiser treated her not like a burden, not like a stranger, but like someone precious. He fashioned small comforts from nature, crafted her a crown of woven leaves, and even created a necklace from polished shells, calling it royal jewelry for the queen of their little island realm. And for the first time in years, Annie felt truly valued, not for wealth or status, but for simply being herself. She realized she liked the versions of herself that existed around him, braver, softer, more honest. And she realized something even deeper: she was falling in love. But love, especially the rare kind born from survival and sincerity, is fragile when the outside world returns. One day, while Annie stood watching the horizon, a ship appeared in the distance. Help had finally come. Her heart lifted, then dropped, torn between two worlds, the one she had lost and the one she had found. When rescuers stepped onto the beach, Annie's fiancé came rushing forward, his voice full of relief and apology. He begged her to return, to forget everything, to start fresh. He spoke of promises, plans, and a future long decided, but his words felt hollow beside Cruiser's quiet devotion. Annie's heart ached. She knew she had to choose, not between two men, but between two lives. One was familiar, predictable, and socially perfect. The other was wild, uncertain, and breathtakingly real. In that moment, she realized that the island had not trapped her, it had freed her. It had shown her what love could be when stripped of expectation, when born from truth and survival. It had shown her that happiness wasn't built from luxury, it was built from connection. When she looked at Cruiser, she saw the man who fought storms for her, who refused to let her die, who built a world out of nothing just to keep her safe. She saw the man she truly wanted. But life rarely gives happy endings without a final twist. Her fiancé pulled her away, desperate and possessive. She struggled, torn between guilt and longing, until Cruiser stepped forward, not with anger, but with quiet strength. Annie tried to break free, shouting that she needed to choose for herself, but everything happened too fast. Just as she cried out, demanding that Cruiser tell her his real name, something he had always avoided, he finally answered. Alex, he said, a simple name. A name she had asked for so many times. A name that felt strangely familiar. And then she whispered her own truth. Her name was Alex too. In that moment, the world seemed to pause, as if fate itself inhaled. Two strangers on an impossible island. Two hearts that found each other in a place where hope shouldn't exist. And to souls connected by coincidence so extraordinary it felt like destiny. Whether she returned to her old life, or chose the man who saved her, one thing was certain, the island had changed her forever. It had reshaped her heart, rewoven her dreams, and revealed a love she never expected. It taught her that sometimes, love arrives in the form of a stranger you were never supposed to meet. And sometimes, that stranger becomes the home you never knew you were searching for.